Hey, this is Sherman Crockett from ShermanCrockett.com. I want to talk about the Supreme Court's decision last Thursday, which upheld the Affordable Care Act, which is also known as Obamacare. And of course, there are a lot of people up in arms about it, but the problem that I have with that is the same people who are up in arms about it, they claim to love this country and they claim to love the Constitution. And they loved Chief Justice John Roberts until about 10:30 a.m. last Thursday morning. That's not real love. But anyway, I'm holding a copy of part of the United States Constitution, Section 8, the powers of Congress. The Congress shall have power to lay and collect taxes, duties, imposts, and excises, to pay the debts and provide for the common defense and general welfare of the United States. In my opinion, Obamacare could have been passed on the General Welfare Clause, if not the Commerce Clause. The Supreme Court shot down the Commerce Clause defense, saying that it wasn't valid, that this was really a tax upon the people, and so it should come under Congress's ability to tax. That's fine. Of course, that's going to be a political argument, especially in this presidential year. But in my opinion, Obamacare could have been upheld under the General Welfare Clause of Section 8 of the Constitution. All right, Section 8, let's see, I don't have the whole Constitution with me. Powers of Congress, I do believe, is Article 1. It goes Article 1, Congress, I believe it's Article 2, the Judiciary, Article 3, the Executive. I may have the Judicial and the Executive mixed up. All right, anyway, so I just read that right there, part of the Constitution. Now I want to read the article that I posted online yesterday on ShermanCrockett.com. And this video is going to be almost the exact same thing that I posted. So those of you who don't want to read, you can look at the video. I'm going to also post it on YouTube, Facebook, and I'll also tweet it. Barely had the ink dried on the U.S. Supreme Court's 5-4 decision upholding President Obama's signature health care legislation before certain states, goaded by their Republican-led legislative majorities as well as governorships, dug their heels into the ground and defiantly declared that they would refuse to begin its implementation. Lest we believe that this response to the court's decision is a novel one, let's take a minute to both read a few remarks made in the name of interposition and nullification. That was an expression that Dr. Martin Luther King used to use when he was marching for civil rights. When he talked about the southern states who wanted to dig their heels in against the court orders to integrate, etc. He used the term interposition and nullification when he was talking about Governor Wallace, Governor Ross Barnett of Mississippi, etc., who were trying to deny African Americans their constitutional and God-given rights. Let's take a minute to both read a few remarks made in the name of interposition and nullification and take a brief trip down memory lane. Hear the words of Georgia Governor Nathan Deal, who's a Republican. While we realize this is a huge setback for fiscal sanity and personal liberty, we are not giving up. Congress must now work steadfastly to repeal this law, end quote. Louisiana Governor Bobby Jindal, a Republican. These are the people who love the Constitution and respect for the Supreme Court, etc. He says, quote, here in Louisiana, look, we refused to set up the healthcare exchange. We're not going to start implementing Obamacare. Did you hear that? We're not going to start implementing Obamacare, even though the Supreme Court of the land, the highest court in the land, has ruled, even though the Chief Justice, appointed by a Republican, ruled in favor of the Affordable Care Act. He said, we're not going to start implementing Obamacare, meaning he's saying we're going to defy the law of the land. This is a governor of a state now, governor of the state of Louisiana. And again, I'm trying to show the parallels between this and the Brown decision. South Carolina Senator Jim DeMint, a Republican. I urge every governor to stop implementing the health care exchanges that would help implement the harmful effects of this misguided law, end quote. And this profound polemic from former Alaska Governor Sarah Palin. This might be a dissertation right here. Republican, of course. Obama lies, freedom dies. 4 words. Obama lies, freedom dies. Forgive my false surprise, but I thought that these were statesmen who most believed in the rule of law and who called themselves true patriots and glorious defenders of our beloved Constitution. Now let's take a brief trip down memory lane and examine some of the responses to the Supreme Court's Brown versus Board of Education decision. In 1958, instead of complying with the Brown decision, Virginia underwent a campaign of quote-unquote massive resistance which resulted in some of its schools being shut down for 5 years. In Alabama, state officials had the myopic gall to tell its needlessly frightened citizenry that the Brown decision, quote unquote, did not involve Alabama. That's strange. A Supreme Court decision that doesn't involve one of the 50 states. Imagine that. As the highest court in the land, the Supreme Court had issued a unanimous decree. It was a 9-0 decision in Brown. A unanimous decree stating that public school segregation was not only legally but morally incompatible with America's ideals. And Alabama officials, apparently forgetting that the Civil War was over and that the nation had once again been reunited, told its citizens that they were exempted from the court's landmark decision. Strange, I bet they didn't say that after Plessy versus Ferguson and after the Dred Scott decision. I guarantee you they didn't say that. All right, but of course I could mention how other states reacted to the Brown decision, but my point is clear. Those who claim to love our Constitution only love it when courts rule in their favor. Is Obamacare perfect? No, far from it. And like most Americans, my knowledge of it is limited because I haven't read the whole 2,700-page bill. But from what I know, I have to support it if only because, one, it prohibits insurance companies from denying full coverage to persons, usually women, like my wife, who is diabetic, who have pre-existing conditions. Number two, it prohibits insurance companies from charging women more than men. That, in my opinion, and I'm not a lawyer, but that, or a constitutional scholar, but that, in my opinion, is an equal protection issue right there. The 14th Amendment, equal protection under law. How can you charge women more than men for medical care? Three, it allows children, many whom are either just beginning their job career, as one of our daughters is, or are just graduating from college, or are still in college, from being dropped from their parents' insurance company coverage until they reach age 26. And number four, no matter what they tell you, Republicans don't have a better plan, but are water carriers for the nation's insurance companies. I was listening to my political shows yesterday after I came home from church, and Norah O'Donnell, I believe it was interviewing House Speaker John Boehner, and she was saying, well, what's the Republican plan? We assure you that this will not. The Republicans don't have a plan. And listen, I'm not a water carrier for the Democratic Party. I'm a registered Democrat, and that may not last long because I'm thinking about registering as an independent. But I voted Republican. I voted for George W. Bush twice. I voted for Republic. I vote issues. I don't just vote party. I'm not a dyed in the wool Democrat. All right, so I'm not a water carrier for the DNC or for the Democratic Party for those type of entities. So the point I'm making is I'm not worshiping at the altar of the Democratic Party. But Republicans, I just had to kill a very big hornet or yellow jacket that landed on me. But Republicans don't have a better plan. So because they don't have a better plan, we have to go with Obamacare. The only way to get rid of Obamacare as presidential candidate, Romney said, was to defeat Barack Obama in the November elections. Short of doing that, the chances of getting rid of Obamacare are slim and none. And Slim just left. All right. In closing, I realize that Chief Justice John Roberts, a George W. Bush appointee who wrote the majority opinion, didn't suddenly become a liberal ideologue, but rather he placed future constraints on Congress's use of the Constitution's Commerce Clause. That's a clause that's been used by Congress. The case that I'm most familiar with is Heart of Atlanta Motel. In 1964, Congress used the Commerce Clause to tell the Heart of Atlanta Motel that they could not discriminate against African Americans. All right, so it has been used, it has been put to good use. But the court is saying that Congress cannot use the Commerce Clause for everything that they want to justify. In my opinion, I think Obamacare could have been justified under the General Welfare Clause. And Roberts placed the issue in the hands of the voters who will either re-elect Barack Obama in November or will remove him from office. Some, including I myself, think this was a stroke of judicial genius. And some even think that Roberts was, in his own unique way, apologizing to the president for flubbing his inaugural swearing in. Of course, I'm being facetious there. Uh, you have to remember when Obama was in the Senate, he did not vote to confirm Roberts to the Supreme Court. So Roberts could have, been petty and vindictive and voted against Obamacare. But he showed himself to be a statesman above partisan politics, and you have to admire him for that. Because again, Obama didn't vote for him to be nominated to the high court when President Obama was a senator from Illinois. So you have to give Roberts credit. But of course, the Republicans are denouncing him. Glenn Beck, who supposedly is a holy man, a man of God, he's got a T-shirt out labeling Roberts as a coward. Now, I don't know what book he's reading, what Bible he's reading. He's a Mormon, so I guess he's reading the Book of Mormon, but I guarantee you that Mormonism doesn't tell you to call people cowards because you disagree with them. All right, anyway, I'm going to post this on Facebook and on Twitter, and I want to post it on YouTube, but you know how YouTube is. It'll take a day and a half just to upload a 5-minute, 10-minute video, but I'll eventually put it on YouTube. I'll post it also at ShermanCrockett.com. All right, God bless, and I hope to hear from you. Hope to hear comments from this and any other articles and videos that I've posted. All right, God bless. Take care. See you in November at the voting booth.